Play like you're on the winning team, because if you know Christ, you are. Find out how in this episode of 5 Minutes Closer. I'm Vaughn Weatherford, and this is 5 Minutes Closer. For the next 5 minutes, let's explore some biblical truths and apply them to your life. No podcast, including this one, can transform your life or give you what you really need. Only Jesus can do that. You can find out why in what I've called the first five episodes of 5 Minutes Closer. Each following episode explores scriptural truths that, if you follow them, will bring you 5 minutes closer to the person God created you to be. Let's see if we can get you 5 minutes closer. This is the 100th episode of 5 Minutes Closer. Thank you for making this podcast possible. Your listening makes it possible for me to continue to create each episode. So thank you. My Little League coach used to tell us to play like winners. That was tough to do when it was the bottom of the ninth and we were behind by 10 runs. He told us not to worry about the score. Go up to bat, he said, and swing like your run could change the game, because it might. He wasn't kidding. The way kids pitched in my Little League, it wasn't unusual for a team to walk in 15 or more runs in an inning. We had some really long games and some high-scoring ones. As Yogi Berra reportedly said, it ain't over till it's over. Whether he actually said that or not is up for debate, but the meaning isn't. No one knows who will win until the game is finished, so keep swinging the bat. John wasn't managing a baseball team, and he wasn't merely providing encouraging quotes to prop up the sagging emotions of believers who faced horrible persecution. John told believers to keep serving the Lord because they knew the battle was already won. Here's what he wrote in 1 John chapter 5, verse 18. We know that everyone who has been born of God does not keep on sinning, but he who was born of God protects him, and the evil one does not touch him. This verse appears in a passage that's much debated among scholars. In verses 16 and 17, John appeals to believers to continue praying for each other as they faced various temptations of the world. He mentions sins that don't lead to death and the sin that does. Precisely what John is referring to here is not completely clear. He's apparently referring to a specific issue that was facing the readers of his letter. They would have known exactly what he was describing in these verses, but since we don't know everything about the situation, we can only speculate, using other scripture as our guide. We can know what John wasn't saying. He certainly was not limiting the power of prayer, nor is he limiting the people for whom we should pray. He focuses on believers who, in verse 18, he describes as those born of God. They, he writes, will not keep on sinning. Notice he doesn't say they won't sin. If you go back to the first chapter of the letter, he reminds believers to confess their sins to God and find forgiveness and cleansing. The key is the believer will not keep on sinning. Sin does not become their way of life. You will find no one more miserable than a believer living outside of God's will. For one thing, the non-believer doesn't realize what they're missing. The believer knows what sin is and what its devastating nature can be in their life. They know what they're missing. John encourages believers to live like the person God has created them to be. God is protecting them, so Satan can't defeat them. Live like it. When you know Christ, He lives in you. Satan cannot change that reality. Live like the Spirit of God lives in you, because He does. You can live like you're on the winning team, because you are. Live like it, because now you're 5 minutes closer. My prayer is that these 5 minutes have challenged you, inspired you, and caused you to consider applying God's message for your life from His Word. To find out more, visit our website at 5minutescloser.com. Join me next time to see if we can get you 5 minutes closer.